I think it's, linking it back to our previous point, it's about knowing your audience. That's why this traditional media still has a huge presence in this industry, because you have to be able to communicate to your audience in the way that they usually get their information. Just because you have great content on Twitter doesn't mean that all of a sudden people are going to sign up for Twitter and start following you. You have to start with the audience and design how is your message going to reach them. And to be honest, it may not involve social media altogether, but it has to be what does your audience listen to, and that was the key point with discovering your audience. Just like the example where you can give it down to a demographic, you really need to know who is it that you're trying to talk to. All right. Does anyone else want to share any of their experiences using specific tools such as these? All right, why don't we go into a bit of the strategy? I know we already touched into that, and I mentioned a few of these points, but again, it's always about the relationship. It's about interaction. Again, with that example, with him, it's about finding a champion within his community and, getting the message, dispersing it through a champion in his subset of the population. So has anyone found that when using their social media that they use how do they develop their relationships? Do they just feed content, or do they actually interact with who's following you or who's on your Facebook page? Does anyone want to share their experiences? Yes? No, yeah, you.
I think it's really important to interact with people. I mean, you can't just keep throwing your message at people. Social media is about having conversations with people and engaging with people. So it's all about, talking to people and sharing other people's information and all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, over there in the back.
Kind of more of a question. On Facebook you can create categories. You can say, colleagues, friends, organizations. So it's easier to target people if you are able to create categories. Can you do that in Twitter? Because I do find we have so many different audiences in the literacy field. Students, tutors. As an example, on Facebook, I sent out a message of an event, but it was tutor training, and we had students clicking will be attending. So that was a learning experience for me. It was now having to contact the students and explaining, even though it had been explained, they didn't understand, and they saw it as an event that they would like to be at. So is there something we can do on Twitter? Because I do find that when I do go on Twitter, as I said before, I'm just getting every message, whether it's something that would be of interest to me or not.
Mm-hmm. Does someone want to field that question? Yep, right there.
I'm creating a Twitter list. You can, it's almost like Facebook, you can make public or private lists. So for instance, OC has practitioners in the literacy field, so I can put on that list and see what people I tag as literacy practitioners. All right, the business and every way for one. So that helps a lot.
So is the onus on the person the following to put what they are? Because I'm really new to Twitter, so I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can also follow other organizations who make their lists public.
Okay.
You can follow that list, their list, and literacy people. It really helps just kind of, if you're following a lot of people and you're commenting with these tweets towards that list, tweets that just apply to coming in that audience. But yeah, you do have to tag them yourself.
So we need a course on Twitter. Tweeting for the
well, how do you? It was booked up. How do you, just carrying on your point? How do you access Twitter? Do you just use the website, or you use a specific third-party client?
Well, I've used it only for myself right now, but when in trying to figure out not to spread myself too thin, I've asked my assistant to, I told her by November we're going to have you tweeting once a day to our followers. Because with our new website, we're going to have that stay connected with us with Twitter and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try it out. But myself, I do that. In fact, last night I tried to create a discussion on Twitter with the group here, and for some reason it wouldn't go every time I click a tweet because I wanted to discuss using the word illiterate for our clientele instead of levels of literacy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to bring up this discussion on Twitter if anybody wants to tweet that.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone want to maybe field that topic in terms of how they manage their Twitter accounts or how they categorize various topics or content?
Yes, I'm not sure if it's a discussion board or just sort of like a quick little blog
Mm-hmm.
or both. Yeah, and I got to 62 characters and it wouldn't. So,
All right. That may be more of a technical issue. I'm not too sure why after 62 words you won't be allowed to tweet. But in terms of categorizing your content, it's always a good practice to use hashtags whenever you're, especially when you do an event. Even for today, it's Spotlight 2010. A hashtag. So a hashtag in Twitter is you put a number sign and then the word following right after it. And the way it works, it's almost like tagging your tweets. So if you say for this conference, the hashtag is Spotlight 2010. So if you were to, yeah, so that's one way of how Twitter categorizes their content. You can, just search through hashtags. So obviously, if you're going to promote an event or a specific timeline, then obviously you want to create a hashtag for that just to be able to manage your content. Off the top of my head, there are a lot of other good third-party applications like Hootsuite and TweetDeck that have built-in features to help you categorize your content and touch on a variety of other options as well.
Yeah, these are things you download from the internet onto your desktop. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go onto the Twitter website. You can have them directly on your desktop, and they're easier to manage than Twitter.com. But maybe that's a whole tutorial.
Yeah, that's we've been warned multiple times not to present. All right. Oh, yes?
I was going to say, while we're talking about Twitter tools, there's also something called Hootsuite, where you're able to pre-schedule your tweets. So if you guys are concerned about the amount of human resources time that needs to go into it, you could set it so that the tweets are going to tweet you automatically every 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. And just to further that point, Hootsuite's sort of a central hub. You can access your Facebook and other social media presence through one dashboard. So a lot of organizations who have multiple presences look into that as well. But this is by no means everyone should go home and download Hootsuite. But it's again
Here, I'm going to
it's
start writing things down.
all right. Sure, if Roseanne could, it's Hootsuite like an owl. That's the.
you don't have a color to that's hard to read.
I got a black one over here.
There's green.
I got a black one right here if you need.
Green, black.
Okay.
Why don't you stick with it? We'll go with the basics.
You can come up afterwards and look too.
So I guess someone here already uses Hootsuite. How many people actually use that tool?
What other ones do we have? TweetDeck, TweetSuite, what
Yeah.
else?
Mm.
Anything else?
S-
TweetDeck?
yeah.
TweetSuite and TweetDeck are the big ones.
Yeah. All right.
And you can search for them, you can go to the website, you can
Mhm.
download it from there.
So for the majority of people who do use social media in their content, how do you usually access your content? Like with Twitter, do you go to twitter.com? Or do you have a third-party client such as Hootsuite or TweetDeck? Does someone want to share how they manage their content? Sure.
I use Hootsuite because you're able to populate to a bunch of different pages at once. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have like 3 Twitter accounts, I should say, you can post to all 3 at once without typing out 3 times. You can also post to Facebook, and it's really good for metrics because it can show you how many people have clicked on your link and kind of what the most popular links are. And then also you can schedule your tweets during the time.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else want to continue on that topic, or? No? Oh, I guess we'll move on. I guess with the next part. Oops. Going back to knowing your audience, linking it back. I know we talked a lot about social media today, but again, it's always linking back to your audience. I think I mentioned it several times. you have to be able to formulate a message that speaks to who you're talking to. If you look at the most popular Twitter accounts, or the most influential Twitter accounts, actually, they rarely talk only about their content. Oftentimes they're just funny stories or something that's captivating or innovating that is not directly related to the field, just because they're always looking to engage their audience. It's always about that relationship. You can't always just feed your content nonstop. It's about creating that relationship. For the people who do use social media, do you find that's a practice that you use, or do you usually stick to content? Someone want to maybe share how they use their social media presence? Yes?
I do it all.
Uh-huh.
Do it all.
Yep.
I talk, things I just notice, I share links, I promote all of our organizations. I don't know, I'm not sure that answers your question exactly, but
Mhm.
I try to do it all, and 3 times per day I do it.
Just to build on, how often or how much manpower do you invest into, say, your Twitter account?
I go on it, I try to tweet probably 4 times a day, but it only takes a few minutes. And I actually at EDC, like Literacy Canada, kind of showed me that you do the same thing, you kind of keep a schedule of what you want to do each day. Maybe you want to retweet someone, or I don't know, contact someone directly, or just have some content ready that you might want to tweet later that day,
Mhm.
particular page or something like that. I kind of have a schedule of events that I know are coming up and I know I have to tweet about,
Mhm.
and I kind of organize the tweet.
And it saves time on thinking about what you're going to tweet about.
All right, so let's continue that idea with your content. So how do you find your tweets are segmented in terms of your content? Do you find a lot of it is content based from your organization, or do you find a lot of it are retweets? How do you?
Yeah, it's everything. Like, I'll post an interesting article, I'll post something else that like another organization has that I think is interesting or applicable to my followers. I'll post something about us. I'll do a retweet. I'll
Try to do each every day.
Mhm.
yeah.
If you talk too much about yourself, people get bored. It just looks like
Oh.
you're self-promotion.
Definitely.
You really need to engage people. It's more of a conversation than necessarily getting your brand out there. You will start to look narcissistic if you just keep talking about you, right? So people love articles like from Globe and Mail or from a tiny little newspaper. I mean, anything that relates to literacy or workplace or anything like that, right? They love that type of thing. So when you're on there, you kind of realize what the stuff that gets retweeted the most.
Mhm.
Even just like a little stat, or if you put out a stat or a tip or something like that, that retweets
Mhm.
sound like.
Oh, yes, right.
I'm like less than newbie,
Yeah.
Okay.
and I don't care who knows. But from what you just said, because I'm learning, and I'm totally learning. So if I was to get a Twitter account and so on, I can just put information out about literacy, about my program, and I don't necessarily have to answer anybody. I'm just gonna feed you information, and you choose to read it or not. That's what Twitter is.
That's what Twitter is.
Yeah.
That's what it could be.
It could be, but that's not necessarily the best practice.
So I thought, okay, no, this is two-way communication. I don't have time.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideally, it's two-way.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the content
Yeah.
production, but there's also a listening aspect to it too, right? And I think there's a comment earlier about information overload, which is true, but you can also be selective. Like, you know, there's kind of steady, it's like this river of things that come
Because I
up.
was thinking, like, people are gonna go, oh, I
Yeah.
can't read another one of her
Yeah.
tweets. It's all about what
Yeah.
she wants to deliver.
Yeah. I mean, there's some, like, I follow Boy George on Twitter. He's just like, I'm reading this book, and like, you know, there's a certain element of that. The most interesting stuff happens when you connect, have a little and often they're just little, you know, it's only 140 characters, right? So it's not a deep, long conversation, but it's like little sparks of conversation. So, yeah, but yeah, it can be the constant stream too. So.
Yep. And that links back to the previous point brought up